Jesse Lingard, Ben Johnson, Conor Coventry, they can wait until later on in the video because I feel there's some much better West Ham news and something I'm very, very excited and very positive about, which do you know what? I've got to be honest, I just prefer talking about this stuff. And it's about what the under-21s did last night. And now this is off the back of a lot of the players who played for the under-21s last night, obviously winning the FA Youth Cup last season, where we thrashed Southampton in the semi-final, thrashed Arsenal in the final. Pretty amazing stuff. We've got a really excellent crop of young players at the moment. Why am I talking about a match last night? Well, last night they played in the EFL Trophy against Bristol Rovers and won 3-1. Now, I'm probably going to bore you over the next 30 seconds if you already know what the EFL Trophy is. Hey, I probably bore everybody every day anyway. However, let me just explain it for those of you who don't know what the EFL Trophy is. The EFL Trophy is a competition, starts with a group stage and it goes into a knockout stage. I believe the final's usually at Wembley. And it's for the third and fourth tier in English football, basically League One and League Two. Now, what they've done to sort of mix it up, they've invited, I believe it's 15 of the top academies in England to participate in the competition. Now, it doesn't have to be Premier League, some of the Championship clubs. You have to have a Category A academy, basically. West Ham do. So I think it's a really good opportunity for the young players, under-21 players, to pit their wits against chiselled, hardened senior players who play competitive football in a competitive match. These young players, these under-21s, basically just tend to spend their time playing against other under-21s. So I think it's a really good barometer to see how they fare in competitive, robust football. That's what it's all about. The benefits for the academy teams are clear. So last night, West Ham played against Bristol Rovers, but not Bristol Rovers under-21s. West Ham under-21s played against Bristol Rovers men. Now, I need to make the point here. I'm not going to pretend to know loads and loads about Bristol Rovers. I don't. So I've done a little bit of research. They're in League One. They're mid-table. Look like in fact, they're a bit better than average. But their last two games, Bristol Rovers have won. I've got it up here. They beat Shrewsbury 2-0. Before that, they beat Cheltenham 4-1, funnily enough. Before that, they drew 1-1 with Lincoln City, which obviously West Ham have got a game in the Carabao Cup against them very, very soon, in a couple of weeks, of course. Now, the reason that this is important is I looked at the team that faced Cheltenham, beat them 4-1. I look at the team that faced Shrewsbury and beat them 2-0. And 7 of the players that were started in those games faced West Ham's under-21s. So there was some changing by the manager. However, he played over half of his regular first-team players in that game, yet still West Ham won 3-1. I think this is magnificent. I think it was a really, really good outing for the team. And I just want to highlight and pick on a few players. I say pick on a few players. I want to praise a few players. The one was the first goal of the game that Bristol Rovers scored. It was a mistake. It was an error from us. I'm not going to single out the player who made the error, but it was an individual error. Easily cut out and easily something that doesn't need to be repeated in the future, certainly. Certainly an easy thing tactically to cut out. I believe we were 1-0 down at half-time, but what then happened afterwards was very, very impressive indeed. First of all, I would like to talk about Dan Chesters. Now, Dan Chesters, he's made a couple of appearances in the past for the first team, but he was a sort of more of a buzzy sort of midfielder. Now, you may remember him, though, very early on in pre-season. He played for us. He may have played for us at right wing back. It may well have been that. I may have been right back. My memory on it is a little bit hazy. However, he has been learning the trade on basically in a right-sided defensive position at right wing back. He's had his position changed. He looks excellent at it. He really does. Now, I don't know how much of that is because of what happened with Harris and Ashby. I don't know. I really don't know. But he looks excellent. And actually, it was his drive and run, really long run, that enabled us to... he basically won a penalty, which I think... Who was it? I think it was Callum Marshall who dispatched a penalty. He looks really good, Chesters. And some of the build-up play just before that, there was another attack down the right-hand side, which involved Chesters and involved Earthy, who is another very, very good player. Was nothing short of sensational. Earthy is a tremendous player, prodigiously gifted, very, very technical. He looks excellent. He really does. He scored another one of the goals, and then Marshall also scored another one. I want to make the point here that this is a team playing without somebody who's been leading the line for this age group for some time, which is Mubama. Now, I'm not reading too much into that. Maybe Mubama is going to be featuring in the European squad. I would certainly hope so. But they coped really, really well without him. You had Casey in defence, who again looks like an absolutely wonderful player. Kodua, really good. I mean, so full of pace. He set up a goal. I think he set up George Earthy's goal, actually. And the final, I think it was the final goal in about the 90th minute to make it 3-1. It was Callum Marshall. The first touch and the finish was sublime. At any standard of football, this was an excellent first touch and an excellent finish, I have to say. Maybe you'd have to say maybe it's sort of comparable with Jarrod Bowen's, but the finish was from further out. I'm talking about Jarrod Bowen's game against Brighton. I just wanted to say I think these lads are sensational. Some of the football, and there are more. I've even mentioned Orford there, who was really, really good as well. We've got some really good players coming through. I watched some of the under-18. I think it was the under-18s play the other day. There's a young lad who plays for that team called Rig. Sensational player. Really, really good. So, yeah, I just really wanted to say that in this sort of news roundup. I do think it's important news. I think it's great West Ham news. I think it's good news for all of us that these players have not only shown that they can beat their contemporaries, that they've not only shown that they can beat the other players who are comparable to them in their age group, as they showed last season, but now they're stepping up and they're playing grown men, and they do not look to be found wanting at all. They were the better team, and well, as it stands at the moment, just West Ham have played one game. I think Bristol Rovers might have played two. Actually, West Ham top the group, So I think that's really, really good. I don't know where that leads, but this is great experience for the players. There's nothing new about this. Declan Rice played in this tournament, but I just feel we've got a much, much better crop now, and I really would. I would advise all of you to watch this space really carefully. Watch out for this team coming through, because some of these players are going to make it. I can only hope, and they're going to make it as professional footballers, no doubt about that. Whether they make it at West Ham, I think it's down to West Ham. So. Yeah, watch this space, so to speak. The Jesse Lingard news. I'm sorry if you feel I've dressed up the Jesse Lingard news and used that as clickbait, but I just wanted to talk about the youngsters. But there is some other news as well. The Jesse Lingard news is that West Ham might not offer him a new contract. That is because the club think we have enough midfielders. Well, if that's the case, that's the case. We probably do have enough midfielders. I certainly wouldn't be in a rush to make a decision, because West Ham don't have to. I would imagine there's not a load of clubs running around trying to throw millions of pounds at Jesse Lingard at the moment. So it might well serve Jesse Lingard's purposes to carry on training with West Ham. He's never going to know what happened. Maybe we get an injury or something, and we might need him. But as it stands at the moment, I've done a European preview with Gio yesterday over on the main channel. Neither of us... Look, we were trying to find ways that we could get sort of Fornals in the team and things like that. There's Cornet's being left on the bench. We've got these good crop of youngsters coming through. Not at any point has anybody that I've spoken about the European game said to me, I think we should try and Jesse Lingard in this one. He's just not a factor, because we've got a really deep squad. We really do have an excellent squad. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens on that one. I just don't think... Jesse needs to be in a hurry. I don't think West Ham needs to be in a hurry. Take your time on that. That's what I would probably say on that one. The other thing is about Conor Coventry and Ben Johnson. You probably know this because, you would have learned it on social media before now, but I certainly haven't had my say on it. They're both, their contracts run out at the end of this season, and the club are not going to renew them. It's as simple as that. I think it's a shame. I think it's sad. So let me say that. I think it's sad for two different reasons. I don't feel that Conor Coventry ever truly had the chance, fully the chance. That being said, I do feel that in the build-up, maybe it doesn't mean Conor Coventry's not going to be a good player. You've only got to go and look at what happened to Josh Cullen. He's gone out there and he's carved out a really good career for himself. And I think the same is going to happen for Conor Coventry. I just think he's probably arrived at an unfortunate time when West Ham are competing at a European level. And there have been, we've got all these international players in there. It's going to be hard for him to break in. And if you look below, there's a bunch of young players who are, sort of 4 years younger than him, who look to be sort of just as good and with, the whole world ahead of them. So I just think it's unfortunate timing for Conor Coventry. The reason I think it's sad is I think Conor Coventry and Ben Johnson are only being kept on because they came through West Ham's academy. They're ticking boxes, basically. And that can't be a nice feeling for anybody, to think that you're not in the squad because of your ability. You're in the squad because you're a quota, basically. And that's a bit of a shame there, really. Ben Johnson, I just think it's a massive shame. I think it's just an opportunity missed for the player and the club. It just hasn't worked out, and I would understand why he wouldn't sign a new contract. And I also understand why the club wouldn't offer him a new contract. Again, this is somebody that's going to have a good professional career. Somebody is going to have a really decent player on their hands, but they need to. I would hope for Ben that he gets a position. He signs for somebody and he becomes their right back, and he gets to really learn the art of being a right back, or whatever the position may be. One position, the utility thing has done him no favours whatsoever. It's always difficult with young players, isn't it, to come through the academy, because you wish them well, you really do. And I think in these two instances, I don't have any bad feelings to either player, certainly. And I just, it's a bit of a shame it didn't work out a little bit better. But look, what can you do? You know, clearly you can't have 11 players that come through youth academy in your first team. Hey, at the moment, let's be fair, one would be nice. That maybe, just maybe, that one is Divine Mubama, who hopefully we're going to see in action tomorrow. Not long to wait on that one.